Evelyn Hernandez. And that is a very, very haunting case. I'll do a quick recap here, but we're going to go in order, actually, in terms of referencing this Globe article from May 13th, 2003. 3 other women missing. Did Lacey's husband kill before? Was Lacey her husband's only victim? So this is something, again, the Dunning-Kruger crowd, the coincidence theorists, the Scott's guilty no matter what crowd, they hallucinate and pretend that people are trying to say that Scott is innocent in some way. Because when you're not ignoring variables, when you're actually being logical instead of delusional, when you're actually being logical, you have to examine all the evidence here. Because if Scott Peterson is guilty, did he kill others? Because how else, obviously, it's just downright disgusting ignoring all these other innocent victims. I mean, certain true crime cases, they just bring out these fanatical goofs, like the Scott Peterson case, who's Scott's guilty no matter what, and whatever's reported on the idiot box has to be true, and all of these other variables have to be ignored no matter what, like all these other innocent victims. I mean, this is just straight lunacy, because, again, all victims deserve justice. You'd have to investigate all cases, and certain cases obviously have links, especially if there's a similar MO within a certain geographical location. Again, not rocket science. Anybody not new to true crime knows this. But again, for whatever reason, these just Scott Peterson's guilty no matter what goofs, they just ignore everything. It's pretty wild. There's just certain cases that bring out the crazies. So let's look at this article from The Globe, May 13th, 2003. Sources say the police are eyeing Scott Peterson in connection with the disappearances of Kristen Smart, Kristen Modafferi, and Evelyn Hernandez and her son Alex. Now, the Kristen Smart case, obviously, this was just a very, very reported case. I mean, it was all over the media. Now, this article is obviously from 2003, May 2003. And since then, obviously, for those that have followed the case, Paul Flores was arrested 2021, 25 years after Kristen Smart went missing. I'm not going to go over Smart's case too in depth here. I will be doing a dedicated episode on that because there's so much funny business in that case. I mean, it's really, really weird. It's a weird case. But we'll be looking at Kristen Modafferi, and Kristen Modafferi spells her name Kristen differently than Kristen Smart. Kristen Smart is Kristin. Kristen Modafferi, Kristen. Not that there couldn't be a link there, but we'll get to that. Like Lacey, Evelyn's body was found in San Francisco Bay. Scott Peterson has shown such a lack of emotion over the murders of his wife and unborn son that some investigators believe he may be a psychopath with ice blood in his veins, and they're asking if he's killed before, say sources. I mean, clearly this is an unbiased article, obviously. The double murder of Lacey and baby Connor is so shocking that her friends and family now wonder if she really was his first victim or his final one. As the mother of Kristen Smart, a student who vanished while at college with Peterson, tells Globe, I want Scott thoroughly investigated for any connection with my daughter's disappearance. A source on Lacey's case says this man is so cold-blooded that nobody working on the case against him would be surprised if he's hunted down other women. It's unusual for a man to suddenly turn into a cold-blooded killer at age 30. Has Scott Peterson killed other women? That's what everybody's asking. And you know what's very, very telling? What's very, very telling here is nobody's even considering the possibility that Peterson's innocent and that whoever killed these other women might have also killed Lacey. I mean, that is curious. For the people who think he actually got a fair trial, and that this trial wasn't tried in the media and he was convicted before the trial ever started. I mean, there's goofs out there that actually think he got a fair trial. I mean, again, innocent or guilty. That's not what we're discussing here. Clearly, he didn't get a fair trial, regardless of innocence or guilt. But is this honest investigation where you just presuppose and assume he's already guilty, and did he kill others? Now, again, I'm not saying he didn't, and if he did, obviously this all needs to be investigated, but objectively, logically, and neutrally, not with all of these preconceptions and biases which do not lead to honest, logical, objective investigations, which of course would not lead to the truth. Now they're going to quote a guy we talk about, a former FBI agent in charge, Ted Gunderson, tells Globe, quote, "Psychopaths don't think like normal human beings. They're so emotionally cold they can take and pass a polygraph to fool you. Anyone who can do what Scott is charged with," see, at least he's smart enough to phrase this properly, "has the personality type to have killed before. We know that he has traveled to numerous cities in California. Police departments are no doubt sharing info about unsolved homicides where there could be a Peterson link," end quote. And you know what's interesting about Ted Gunderson? Usually he's pretty logical. Like, he examines cult angles, like in the Jeffrey McDonald case. If you haven't checked out the McDonald family murders, check that out. Ted Gunderson actually believed Helena Stokely, who confessed to killing, being present at the McDonald home with a cult while his family was killed. Very curious case. If you haven't checked out the MINDSHOCK series on that, there's 2 episodes so far. A lot of damning evidence, not in the direction of Jeffrey McDonald. I've postulated that he might have been one of the killers, but there would have been others as well. There's the unidentified hair under his wife Colette's fingernail. Obviously, fingernail scrapings, if you're fighting off an attacker, you would, it's very common to get DNA of your attacker if you're being killed. So that's not matched to McDonald. And there's also an unidentified fingerprint on the jewelry box, and that's not McDonald's either. And then McDonald claimed very specifically that not only was there a cult, but one of them had a burning candle. It's a very specific claim. And there was candle wax found in the apartment that doesn't match any of the candles that were in the apartment. So that does corroborate his story to an extent. Now, again, this isn't a podcast about McDonald, but there's also a lot of goofs out there who think that it's beyond a reasonable doubt that McDonald is guilty. Clearly, it's not, even if he is guilty. And if he is guilty, that doesn't mean he acted alone. It's just so weird, like the Dunning-Kruger crowd. It's like they don't care about real justice, because if he's innocent, obviously they need to get the guilty parties. If he's guilty, why would you not want to get all the guilty parties involved? Like, it's just a weird thing that the Dunning-Kruger crowd, I mean, they just get triggered when everything's not as reported on the idiot box. Like, if it's not tied up in a neat little bow, they just have to pretend and hallucinate it's all unfounded conspiracy, ignoring all logic and reason and basic science. But hey, we got to be thankful for these goofs, because that's why the MINDSHOCK podcast exists. So, continuing on here. The handsome fertilizer salesman has been discussed as having a possible connection to the disappearance of women in these three unsolved cases. Kristen Smart, 19-year-old college student who went missing from Cal Poly University. Peterson was going to school there at about the same time, and that's where he met Lacey. A local newspaper, the Telegraph and Tribune in San Luis Obispo, received an anonymous letter claiming that Kristen's body had been dumped in nearby Lopez Lake. Kristen has never been found. Again, this is as of 2003. So the police believed that Kristen Smart's body was buried under the deck of Ruben Flores' home, but was moved. Biological evidence was found using ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs. Just for reference. This was announced April 20th, 2021. What's curious is in 2016, they also excavated an area of the Cal Poly campus. There were 3 digs located on the same hillside near Smart's dorm. And this was in 2016. As of 2020, the latest update regarding that, the items were still being investigated. So, that's a troubling case. Like I said, we'll be doing a dedicated podcast on that. But Continuing this article here, her mother, Denise, 55, tells Globe the FBI wanted to interview Scott at the time, but he never came forward for questioning. What? The FBI wanted to interview Scott Peterson at the time Kristen Smart went missing? Why? Did her this is what Kristen Smart's mother is saying, that they specifically wanted to interview Scott at the time? At what time? She just said at the time. He's in jail right now, so there's no reason why police can't speak with him about it. I need to know why he was on the list and what connection he had with my daughter. I've also been contacted by someone saying that Scott used to date my daughter. End quote. So what does everybody think of Kristen Smart's mother saying that Scott Peterson was on a list for questioning and that people are saying that he dated Kristen Smart? And there's really not a lot of more information on this. So I don't know. Has anybody who'd been following all of this at the time, do they recall any of this being clarified by anyone? But let's do a quick recap of Evelyn Hernandez. Evelyn and her son Alex, like Lacey, she was pregnant. Evelyn's body was discovered in San Francisco Bay long after she vanished. Evelyn, 24, and her 5-year-old son Alex, who disappeared May 1st, 2002, was discovered last July 24th. Well, that's at the time of this writing. The latest article on this that I could find is SF Gate, Katie Dowd, April 30th, 2022. There's 3 victims here. What happened to San Francisco's Evelyn Hernandez and her young son? Evelyn Hernandez called her sister on the morning of May 1st, 2002. The 24-year-old single mom was 9 months pregnant with her second child and struggling. She told me she had pain in her abdomen. Olivia Hernandez told the reporter she was not feeling well. I asked her if she had someone to take her son to school. She said no, that she had to take him herself. Despite her rough morning, Evelyn left her apartment in San Fran's Crocker Amazon neighborhood to drop 5-year-old Alex off at Buena Vista Elementary School. She then took a Muni bus to her bank to make a deposit, bought a new wallet at Ross, and returned home after picking up Alex from school. Around 6 p.m., police believe she got her mail, including a disability benefits check, and settled in for the night. At 9 p.m., she called her other sister, who lived in Richmond, to chat about Evelyn's upcoming baby shower. Afterward, they said goodnight as usual and hung up. The next day, Evelyn and Alex Hernandez vanished. This weekend marks 20 years since the little family of 3 was likely murdered. Evelyn had immigrated from El Salvador as a child and attended McAteer High School in San Fran. She became pregnant with Alex shortly after graduating, according to the Charlie Project. Alex's father was in the Navy and is not suspected in his disappearance, and worked as a vocational nurse for a time to support her growing family. She had also worked at Costco and the Clift Hotel in Union Square, but was on disability at the time of her disappearance due to complications with her second pregnancy. The father of her unborn baby was 36-year-old Herman Aguilera, a married part-time limo driver and United Airlines mechanic at SFO. According to San Fran homicide investigators, Aguilera's wife was aware of the relationship but did not know Evelyn was pregnant. For her part, Evelyn was allegedly done with Aguilera. It appears the victim had made a decision to stop seeing Herman because she felt that he would not leave his wife. SFPD Detective Holly Parra told the San Fran Chronicle at the time of Evelyn's disappearance. It caused some friction because he was paying for her apartment and wanted to be able to stay there. She wanted to get on with her life, Parra added. She thought she had no future with him. Aguilera told police he had last seen Evelyn and Alex on April 30th when he went to IKEA to buy a bed for Alex, returned to Evelyn's home, and assembled it. On May 7th, investigators say he reported the Hernandezes were missing. It's not clear why Evelyn's family, who had a baby shower planned for her, did not report her missing earlier, although it is possible police are holding back info on the case. So keep in mind, this is 2020 now, and this information has not been brought forward. That's kind of insane. Police got their first clue a few days into the investigation. Evelyn's new wallet was found near a canal off East Grand Street in South San Fran. Inside was her disability check and cash, suggesting the motive for her disappearance wasn't robbery. The wallet was discovered a few blocks from the limousine company that Aguilera worked for. That's curious. When police brought him in for voluntary questioning, Aguilera said he called Evelyn multiple times on the night of May 1st, but that she hadn't picked up. He said he drove to her apartment intending to look for her, but decided perhaps she was intentionally evading him and went home. Months went by. Then, on July 24th, the partial remains of a woman were found in the San Fran Bay along the Embarcadero near Folsom Street. DNA testing confirmed the remains belonged to Evelyn. Alex was nowhere to be found. At a memorial service for Evelyn, one of her loved ones brought a sign with a photo of Alex. The text on it read, "Where is Alex? Wasn't this investigation important?" SFPD detectives who attended spoke to the media afterward. "We don't know where Alex is. Is this important?" "Yeah, it's extremely important," Paris said. "There's 3 victims here." Since Evelyn's body was recovered, there's been scant movement in the case. It's not known where or when exactly she was killed, so there's no crime scene to examine. Police presume Alex is also dead, but they can't be sure. Over the years, some of Evelyn's loved ones have suggested that if she had been a white native English speaker, police would have tried harder. Aguilera has never been named as a suspect or person of interest. It's kind of weird. So somehow they just really think he's not involved? Other sources are saying that her sister actually contacted SFPD to report Evelyn and Alex missing. Initially, police thought Evelyn may have left town with her son to have her baby. But in the apartment, they found passports. So they didn't take their passports with them. Okay, this is kind of weird, though. I mean, everything about this is kind of weird. So more info on the wallet here from sites.google.com, California True Crime. On May 30th, 2002, Evelyn Hernandez's wallet is dropped off at a police station. An unknown person had found the wallet in a ditch in an undeveloped parking lot near the corner of South Linden Ave and North Canal Street in South San Fran. They had found the wallet earlier in the month and assumed it had been lost accidentally. They tried to get in touch with Evelyn Hernandez to give it back to her, but couldn't reach her. There weren't any news reports that Evelyn or Alex had gone missing, and no reason to think the wallet was evidence in a larger crime. Inside the wallet is Evelyn's ID, some folded up case, and her disability check, which hasn't been cashed. When police got the wallet, they realized this is evidence that Evelyn isn't missing on her own accord and transferred her case from missing persons to homicide. Police go to the area, search for more evidence of Evelyn and Alex, even using trained dogs, but do not find any more evidence. So the first story was only printed 35 days after she was reported missing, 42 days after she was last seen. I mean, that's kind of crazy. July 24th, 2002, a pedestrian walking along the Embarcadero near the Bay Bridge saw a body floating in the water, called the police. Police recovered the body and it found only the lower torso and legs of a human. Nearby was maternity clothes. That's weird. So she was dumped there later? Using Evelyn's toothbrush, the police compared the DNA to that of the body, find a match. Evelyn Hernandez is believed to have been murdered. Neither her unborn baby nor her son Alex were found. Police believe Evelyn and Alex were both murdered. So here's the thing. For people who think that there's either a cult involved, if you haven't checked out the previous episode, make sure you check that out. I talk about satanic cults. There was even one in the Modesto area. So for the goofs that say there's zero evidence of cults. So, yeah, are they kidnapping and killing pregnant women and stealing the babies? Because there's conflicting evidence, or conflicting opinion, rather, on whether or not Connor was cut out of Lacey, and exactly when that happened, and how long he survived after the kidnap date. So that's all, of course, a curiosity, because that's all unconfirmed. So for the goofs that hallucinate it's all beyond a reasonable doubt, obviously it's not, because there's conflicting opinion here on whether or not Connor was cut out of Lacey, and also missing organs, etc., etc. So what is going on? If there is a cult involved, are they going after pregnant women?